The annual Miss South Africa is dubbed as one of the grandest and highly anticipated events on the social calendar.
I thought it was thoroughly professional. It was an outstanding show.
So, today's evening, my thoughts on today's production. It was phenomenal. I think Proverb makes such an excellent MC. And overall, I mean, the dresses, the way the production ran, no one tripped.
Bold and striking finalists exude a beauty that permeates inside and out. It's not all glitz and glam for the beauty queens. There's also a level of skill required. These astute ladies vying for the coveted crown turn the beauty and brawn misconception on its head with their passion, positivity, clever wit, and humbling social abilities. Whilst they are patriots and ambassadors in their own right, the competition was stiff between the top 5, but the winner, Lisa Laurie, hailed from Eldorado Park, southwest of Johannesburg.
I was waiting for it for many years. I entered obviously when I was 19 and I knew that I wasn't ready, and now I know that I am. And trust me, there were some tears, but I cried gracefully as a Miss South Africa would.
To everyone's surprise, this year's Miss South Africa had appearances from former reigning queens dating as far back as 1956. While everyone will be going about their business, for Miss South Africa, the work starts right here.
My message to her really is to follow her passion, to be herself, and to follow her dream. We're going to be behind her, we're going to support her and wish her the best with her road further.
Maleshane Makale, SABC, Rustenburg.
Congratulations to Liesel from Eldos. What an inspiration. Well, let's go live now to the Northwest Province. Atlanta Mate, my colleague, is there. She's speaking to the organizers and the judges of the Miss South Africa. Atlanta, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning, Ayanda. The mood has been absolutely exciting. It's been vibrant ever since last night when Lisa Laurie from Eldorado Park, won the Miss SA 2015. It was indeed a night filled with glitz and glamour as South Africa celebrated some of, most of its beautiful women in the country. Now, just to give you a brief background, this pageant has been around for over 50 years. It's actually running in its 57th year. And, it dates back to actually 1957 when Norma Forster was crowned the first ever Miss SA. Now, for the first time in history, yesterday, we had 3 South African Miss World's title holders all in one room. We had Penny Ray, who was crowned in 1958. We had Anneline Creel, who was crowned in 1974, and the current reigning Miss World, Rolene Strass. Now, this pageant is, however, designed to embrace and celebrate young women who, have a vision on making a difference in their society. Now, for more on, the planning, the whole, what qualities Miss SA organizers and judges look for when they crowned, Miss SA 2015, I'm joined by Sue Clerk from Sun International and Sophie Ndaba from who was one of the judges last night. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you very much. Let's start with the planning. Just take us through the planning of such a pageant.
Okay, the planning for Miss South Africa 2016 will start tomorrow morning in the office. It takes a year to plan the pageant. We start by choosing the girls. We do open castings. We go around the country to all the regions. We have open castings. We call for open girls to come to the open castings. We choose them from there, and then we end up with about 75 girls that we then have to narrow down to the top 12. So that's quite a process, and that process takes us around 6 to 7 months to get to the top 12.
And before we move on to the judges, what qualities are you looking for when you do choose the judges, for the Miss SA pageant?
The qualities we look for in the girls, obviously they've got to be beautiful, but they've also got to be intelligent. And I'm sure you saw, especially from the 5 questions that were asked last night, these young girls, how versed they are in life and how worldly they are. I thought the answers to the questions were absolutely exceptional, coming from 5 young, beautiful girls like that. So they need to be intelligent. They need to be an ambassador for both brands, Sun International and SABC, high-profile brands in this country, as well as represent our beautiful country, South Africa. So it's a hard act to follow. It's a hard shoes to step into, but we do our best to get the best.
Now moving on to Sophie Ndaba, who was one of the judges last night. Take us through what qualities were you looking for, particularly last night when the judging panel crowned Miss SA 2015 Liesl Creel?
I think, as Sue said, that it's a process. I think over the months, over the weeks, obviously the brands, meaning the sponsors, come together and select the women that they feel would represent their brands very well. But obviously they left that in our hands to finally decide who the final 5 were and who the final 3 were. And for us, we were looking for beauty with a purpose. You know, all the women in South Africa generally are beautiful, you know, inside out. But what we're looking for is a woman with a purpose. A woman who goes out there is not just beautiful, but goes out there to represent what Miss South Africa stands for. The woman who believes very strongly in women empowerment and children, and more importantly, knowing where she's going and not wanting to stay on a comfort zone where she doesn't grow. But a woman who you can see she's got a purpose many, many years from now. We can see with the current Miss World, we can see with the previous Miss Worlds that these women are still standing in their own right. So we're looking for that woman with a beauty, with a purpose, who can still stand the test of time. Over 20 years from now, we can still say, wow, she does still look like our Mrs. World now.
Take us through, was it a tough choice this year?
Absolutely. The women, the ladies, I call them women because they shock me. I mean, they're in their early 20s, but, you know, it's like we're speaking to mature women who've been at it for many, many years. And that's what made it so difficult. I mean, people looked at the last question and probably judged us based on the last question and said, oh, but this one answered this better. Trust me, we spent hours, we spent days with these ladies. We judged them for many, many hours and days to know that this lady is the best out of the best, because we had to only crown one. We could not crown them all, but they were all super intelligent, super smart, super gorgeous.
Well, thank you very much. That was Sophie Ndaba and Sue Clerk, the organizers and one of the judges from this year's Miss SA 2015. It's back to you, studio.
Thank you so much, and it reminds me of my days when I was young and I would dress up and prance around the house pretending to be Miss South Africa. All right, let's leave it there.